Hi everyone, Namaste. My name is Linda Guetbois, and I'm doing a mini-series that I call Mind Mastery. And this is just quick how-to tips on how to learn how to use your mind more effectively, different little practices and techniques that you can use that develop certain qualities and aspects of your mind to help enhance your your ability to be more creative in your life, and certainly to be able to connect at deeper levels, be able to intuitively perceive things in situations that you couldn't see before, as well as learn how to use your imagination and your mind to create, to more intentionally create what I call desired experiences instead of kind of haphazardly, which is how most of us create, or life by default I call it sometimes. But and tonight what I wanted to talk about is how to communicate with nature. And when I say nature, it can mean actual nature, trees, flowers, life. It can also mean animals of various sorts, as well as just being able to intuitively connect to what we call the life force, or just the energy, the energetic quality around you, in a way that allows you to establish communication. And what I want to point out about communication, because people look at this different, is that what I mean when I say communication is that true communication, what we place our attention on, focus on, and it's focused back at us, right? And we begin an interactive quality with that object, whether it's just a mental focus, or if it's an actual dialogue that takes place, or some kind of behavior, some kind of interaction starts taking place. But that connection is a two-way flow. We set up a stream of consciousness between us and what we're communicating with, and information goes both ways. So take something that doesn't talk, for example, like an animal or a plant or whatever. When we focus our attention on a plant and we give it our full attention and we start observing it, perceiving it, thinking about it, studying it, so to speak, we are receiving constant information about that object, and that object or little being, whatever, is also receiving information from us. And they're not receiving it as far as what we're going to tell them about something. They're receiving the information based on what they're sensing about us, right? The emotional quality of our energy, of the interaction. They perceive our intentions, so to speak, by the nature of our consciousness and how it feels to them when we're focused on them. But one of the best ways to be able to connect more, to be able to form communication with nature, with objects, with other people, with things, is to increase your knowledge about them, right? The more we know about something, the more, not only does it stand out, so we tend to notice it more, but also when we place our attention on it and begin looking at it, and holding it and perceiving it, and thinking about the knowledge that we have about it, it allows us to start seeing different things about that object. Whereas before, without much knowledge of it, we perceive to a certain extent, we might sense things and kind of have this vagueness around stuff, or appreciation, something like that, but we don't truly communicate, or we don't really receive information about the true nature or the essence of whatever it is that we're trying to communicate with. Because communication is, we're trying to interact, we're trying to share information, find out something about, connect, gain a conscious interaction with an object or a person. And again, the best way to truly connect and be able to communicate with things is to gain knowledge of them. And let me just give you a couple of examples. If I'm walking through a field, or I'm out in the woods and I'm walking through and there's trees and plant life all around me, the typical tendency of a person is to walk, and while I may have an appreciation of being out in nature and how it feels good out here and picking up on the energy and the freshness of it, and maybe the birds are singing and that type stuff, so I have a certain appreciation at that point, but I'm not really communicating with anything in the environment. I'm just enjoying it, right? But if I go down and I take a class on wilderness medicine, or herbs that are naturally found in your environment and what their medicinal qualities are, and I study about those plants, how to identify them, their natural properties, the medicinal uses, the uses for different cooking or tea, consumption, that type stuff. And then I go back out and I'm walking in that same scenario. You know, I'm more aware, okay? And I'm walking around and I'm looking and, oh, I see that one, and I place my attention on it and I start thinking about it. And as I'm thinking about it and got my attention on it, I have established a form of communication with it. And once I know certain things about it, that helps me to form a different perception or a different perspective about that plant, it allows me to start seeing other things about it, or start perceiving the uniqueness of its qualities or the individual qualities that it possesses apart from the other plants. But it expands my perception or my ability to perceive that plant, which is what communication is. Communication is the stream of information that's flowing back and forth. And as I'm perceiving it, it's forming perceptions of me. Let's move up to animals for this one, because this one is, anybody that works with animals really understands this. I come in, you know, if I don't know that much about animals, sure, oh, they're cute and they're furry and oh, come here, right? We have all that little stuff going on and we love animals and stuff. But when I gain a lot of knowledge about an animal, I know a little bit about its nature, I can anticipate its behavior, I know what its tendencies are. So when I gain knowledge about an animal and I come into contact with it, first of all, I know how to interact with it, right? Because we interact different with cats than we do with dogs, for example. And of course, birds are a whole other scenario. So, but if I don't know anything about the animals, I don't know how to interact with them, I don't know how to approach them, I don't know how to be with them. But once I have knowledge about them, I have all that information, plus, once I can be with them and connect with them, I can start perceiving things about them, and the communication process at kind of like an energetic consciousness level starts taking place between both. And the same time that I'm perceiving them and seeing things about their nature as an individual cat, for example, or as a unique puppy dog or something like that, at the same time they're perceiving me, and I'm sending them information about me, about my attitude, what I'm like, what they can expect from me. We've established a two-way street. And the same thing goes for energy, okay? When we get knowledge about energy and we understand energy and how it behaves and how it interacts and what resonance means and what coherence means and what emotional charges are all about, and how we can sense the feeling quality to energy, when we start gaining that type of knowledge, it allows us to energetically communicate with situations, spaces, objects, people, animals, because we understand the energetics that's taking place, and we can consciously interact with it in an intentional way that kind of skillfully or purposefully manipulates it or handles it in a certain way. Whereas before, we might have walked into a situation and, you know, kind of sensed, oh, this is a funny mood in this room, or yeah, boy, this room doesn't feel very good, or oh yeah, oh God, wow, it feels really good being here. I mean, we might have had that type of experience, but we wouldn't have had any kind of real communicative perception. We wouldn't have been able to receive information from that feeling and been able to understand it in a way that allows us to interpret it, perceive it, conceive of it, and certainly know how to interact with it in an intentional manner. So the best way to connect and learn how to communicate with life at all levels is to gain knowledge become knowledgeable, gain understanding of fundamental principles, fundamental sciences, study things that you want to form communication with, that you want to be able to connect with, and notice how much, notice what it does. I mean, it'll just enhance your ability to connect, to focus, and to receive information and send information at a subconscious level by extreme amounts. So visit at Creative Transformations. You know, we teach this type of stuff. We teach mind skills, intuitive skills, communication skills, how to work with energy, certainly all about the creativity of the mind and your ability to create experiences by manipulating the energy and different stuff like that. So visit our website at creativetransformations.biz and check it out. Check out the programs that we have, the educational programs, as well as various levels of training, mentoring. We work one-on-one, we do coaching, and check it out and see what strikes your interest, and we hope to see you.